Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to the official Trade Talk channel where I show you how I analyze price for the most consistent and higher probable entries to help you guys become better traders. So, what is good, chat? How's everybody doing this morning? Michelle says, good morning from a sunny UK. It's still very much dark where I am right now, very early. Super tired this morning, but we're going to get this thing going. So yesterday we had the Fed, the FOMC, had a 75-point rate hike, basis point hike, which is, I guess it was expected. Yesterday or the other day when I was doing the live stream, I thought it was 25% or 25 points were expected, but that was enough. That was wrong data. So we got the 75 points. What does that mean for future price on Bitcoin? Well, technically, more hikes is usually bearish, under normal conditions for the risk assets, but we're not in normal conditions right now. Basically, the meeting itself was, or the press conference, if you will, was kind of a non-event. He didn't really say anything that we already didn't know. But one thing that he did verify to us is that they are watching the CPI data. What they want to see is they want to see CPI data lowering month over month. So they want to see probably a good 3 months of CPI core inflation that is trending lower, because 3 points will make a trend. And if they were to see that, then they might start easing back on their rate hiking, their rate hikes, how many they have scheduled and all that. They have a lot. They had a lot scheduled this year. They have several scheduled for next year, but we'll see what they end up doing. Bitcoin got a bounce yesterday. We were watching it yesterday. What I wanted to see is I wanted to see Bitcoin trade down, make a new low of day before the press conference. So at 2 o'clock is when the actual numbers come out. And then we got that stab lower, but we did not take out the low of day, which, that's what I was looking for. What I wanted to see once that low of day was smoked, I wanted to take a long entry, looking for the market to have already priced in that 70-point basis, or the 75-point hike, right? So we didn't get a new low of day, but hourly support did hold for a brief, that's basically what I established my entry on. When we traded up, made a new high of day, I took profits and moved my stop to break even. As of right now, Bitcoin's coming back. So even though that we got all this stuff going on, Bitcoin has come off 70% from the all-time highs, and we have a lot of technical indicators showing us that we're probably getting pretty close to a low. The thing is that low could take months to pan out. And remember, before we even got into this region, I've been telling you guys to not necessarily buy it when you first get in the undervalued region on the MVRVZ score, simply because the first time you go in it, it could take a long time to establish a low, and you can continue to make new lows. You are in a downtrend, and in downtrends, pops in price usually get sold into. Yesterday was a pop in price. If we go over here to the weekly chart, it's disgusting. We got 9 bearish weeks in a row. We had 1 insignificant bullish week, and then 2 massive weeks of downside. This week was a very big extended range candle, and basically brought us into the old all-time high. This is your old all-time high here, $19,891. We did not touch it, but we came within a few $100s of it. And on an asset that is, 6 digits, a few $100s is literally nothing. The spread can get that wide in some cases. So, technically we could go ahead and say the old all-time high has been pretty much tested, right? If we go into the hourly chart, let's get it here and pull it up. You can see that there's literally not much room to go before you are trading on the old all-time high. So, I made a tweet yesterday. Here, let me bring this up real quick. No. Nope, not that. Let me see here. Bear with me. Uno momento. All right, this thing right here. Let's shrink them down. All right. So, what in the hell is this? Why is this on? There we go. All right. Basically, this is what I wanted to show you. This is the quantitative tightening cycles, if you will. So this 2% level here, this is the area at which the Fed wants to get. And when this drawing was taken, which, you know, I found this from a website this is a couple months old potentially. But anyways, I said in a tweet yesterday that, you know, Bitcoin was never around during quantitative tightening and inflation. We did have a quantitative tightening event from January 2018 into early 2019. The lows of that region was in December for the SPX. Well, anyways, we know that was also Bitcoin's bear market phase, right? From 2017 had its bull run, 2018 into 19, Bitcoin was in a bear market for the entire year. So you can see that the Fed was raising interest rates here. So if we're up here, this is their projected goal. Basically, you can see how this corresponds with the chart. So if I can somehow get this to, let me get out here to the daily, or let's go out to the weekly, and scrunch her up here. Logarithmic. Let's get rid of the lines. So this is what I'm talking about. This is when the Fed started raising interest rates. So if you see how this corresponds with the chart, down move, down move. So that's what I mean. Like, the Fed controls price, pretty much. Risk assets, the Fed's going to tighten. That's generally not bullish. If they're easing, that typically is. So Bitcoin's development and growth process and everything has been equally attached to the Fed and risk markets the entire time that Bitcoin has been an asset. I firmly believe that Bitcoin will eventually reach its risk-off status, but the question that you must ask yourself is, would you rather it be a risk-on asset or a risk-off asset? I mean, Bitcoin was built or engineered to be an inflation hedge. But if it is a risk-off asset, then that means in the times that you have bull markets, which we know last a lot longer than bear markets do, Bitcoin will be doing nothing and going down. And then, you know, when you do have a bear market, that's when Bitcoin would explode in growth. I mean, yeah, nobody wants that, right? Bitcoin's growth comes because it is treated as a risk asset. So anyways, we know that they're tightening. We know that they're going through we know that they're going to hike, and they're going to continue to hike. So when they announce the hike, boom. Or when they announce quantitative tightening and starting to hike, boom, it came down. So when is this going to come to an end? To be honest with you, in this environment, picking a bottom is going to be very difficult. We know that we are at all-time lows as far as weekly RSI is concerned on the BLX index. We are at lows that we've never seen before on the RSI. So typically, when you get in these areas, these are good spots to buy. I mean, it's the bear market lows of the last two cycles that we had, 2014, 2018. Both of those bear market lows were called by this indicator tagging oversold on the weekly. So we're there. I did start to add to my HODL position, if you will, my spot account. I did put on a little bit before the Fed meeting yesterday, and obviously I will continue to trade it on the inverse swap. So we'll see what happens. I think that we're probably getting pretty close to a low end on the week. So I guess what you could watch, obviously, would be daily support. And then if you want to take it down to the intraday charts, you got to support there at 20,691, and then obviously this low end here. If we go look at the SPX, you're going to see that this thing has already completely retraced yesterday's entire move, and you are back down on the lows. So you have a new low of day. You also have a new low inside of the overall downtrend. So the trend is still down. We have to keep that in mind. Understand that every single time that you do get any kind of bullishness, there are going to be those that are basically selling into that and causing, trend continuation. So we got to be careful. Now we're going to treat this We're going to let this thing find daily support. Currently, daily support's $22,120. That was just made the day before yesterday. So let's see where this thing closes out today. If it gets back above $21,120, then we could say, yeah, probably for the next week or so, we might be able to chop around in this area. I think what price looks like it's trying to do now is it's trying to go down and liquidate yesterday's longs. Anybody that got long anticipating, the Fed event, that's what it looks like price is trying to do. If we go over here and look at the Aussie yen, you're going to see that this thing is coming off pretty big this morning. And we know that the Japanese yen has not been traded as a safe haven currency this year. Where am I looking for here on watch? Let's go over here. So it hasn't been trading as a risk on or risk off. It's just not been working like it's supposed to. But right now you see this big move that we got going on this. So like the last couple days have been bearish, right? Pretty bearish. We got a BOJ meeting coming up as well. So I mean, every single bank across the world will have done their interest rate meeting by the end of this week. Today's Thursday, so it's not going to be much longer. And then we'll be back into normal trading. So, volatility is here, and it's going to be here probably for the next few days. When this asset right here, the VIX, when this thing starts to get up into above 35, $40, then I will start to look for those lows, right? The bear market low, if you will. That's typically when you will find one, when this asset has something similar to a blow-off top. Now, this asset basically just trades sideways, back and forth, up and down. So more like an oscillator than anything. So just pretend, if you will, that above $35 is going to be your overbought regions and $16 is going to be your oversold regions. If you are looking at this as an oscillator or as your RSI. But we definitely want to see this thing having a big move to the upside and then coming off, as that's when we can start to position ourselves long on Bitcoin. Now that doesn't mean you're not going to run lows, and do liquidity purges and things like that along the way. So you must be careful. If you take a fib retracement from yesterday's swing low to today's high, you're going to see that you're pretty much right at the 618 retracement of yesterday and today's range. So if you're going to look at this as the start of a higher high, higher low scenario, then you definitely want to see it start to find support inside of a trend. All right. But like I said, guys, as long as that VIX is maintaining upside, then that's going to presumably continue bearishness on risk assets. So please mind your risk. Thank you, Heath, for the stream. Music is nasty. You are welcome, my friend. Yeah, I like that one pretty good. I like that song pretty good. Looks like we still have a while to go with the bearishness. Yes, exactly. That's what we're talking about now. So, picking bottoms is for the birds, guys, to be honest with you. Yesterday's trade was just that. It was a day trade. That's typically the way I approach these things, by taking my profits and then moving my stop up to break even. That gives me the ability to continue. If I get into a situation where I have trend continuation, then I'm situated, good for it. I'm not situated with a full-on position with 20x leverage, but I am sitting in it with a decent sized position that is levered. So it works out pretty good. I have gotten my Aussie yen short pretty much stripped down to almost nothing just by taking profits. And, as the trend continues, you just keep cutting that position down by either cutting it in half or whatever you want. So you do that, then that way you can potentially position yourself to catch that. It's going to be difficult to find trend continuation when we are in an obvious downtrend. I know all these indicators and all these metrics that we want to look at to say, yes, the bear market lows are in. You can see that you are under realized price or realized cap. But you can see that this thing has gotten under it many, many times, right? So I wouldn't necessarily go on this section of price because the asset was so young and has such a small market cap at that time. It didn't take much money to move it around at all. So it was very, very nasty trading it in the early years of Bitcoin. But anything after 2014, we can look and see just to get an idea. And if we focus on this section here, this is the 2014 bear markets. You can see that this was when you first came into that line. Notice what price did for a long time, right? Just because we're into this area, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to bounce and then go straight up to make new all-time highs. What I am looking for is a sideways oscillation of price. So when I use that one tool that I never ever used the other day, people thought that I was expecting Bitcoin to trade like that with the fractal. No, basically what I mean is sideways for a long time. Pretty much anywhere from $20,000 up to $35K. This thing can go and still remain bearish. Go back and look at price history in the past. It's the best metric we have. It's the best metric that we have to compare old bear market cycles and then make a plan, right? This was a straight down move here, chopped around. You think people thought this was the end? No, of course not. They thought that the bull market was coming back, new all-time highs. But they were not paying attention to the Fed. The Fed was hiking rates during this scenario. The S&P 500 also suffered a downside move as well. December that year, Christmas Day, was a half of day trading, and it was one of the worst down days on the SP that we've seen in a long time on Christmas Eve, and that was all due to them hiking too much too quick. So, it's bearish, and them hiking is going to remain to be bearish. When we get those lower CPI prints, or, if we start to get 2-3 months of consistent lower prints, you're going to start to see the Fed ease up on the fuel, on the hiking, and then that could potentially be enough to put in a floor. So you've got at least 3 months to wait. At least 3 months to wait before you can say the low is in. You need those CPI prints first. As long as inflation is trending higher, the low is not in. All right. Not a whole lot of technical levels to go by, obviously, because of, yesterday's Fed meeting. But let's go over here again and we'll look at the MVRV Z-score. I know people are probably getting tired of looking at it. I've only shown it a blue billion times. But the reason is simple, right? This is when people need to start to prepare to become buyers again. Not up here, right? You don't want to be a buyer on an overvalued asset. You want to be a buyer on an undervalued asset. And you want to position yourself to catch any forward growth. And there will be forward growth, right? This is not the end of the world. We've had inflation before. They got it under control. They will get it under control again. It's not the end of the world. This is just a normal bear market cycle, if you will. And eventually it's all going to come to a head. You're going to have a bear market low. And then you're going to see prices oscillate away from that low. And you want to position yourself for that. So, but once again, when you get into the overvalued or undervalued region, it takes a long time before you actually get that floor, that bottom, that market cycle low. And in most cases, well, on these two cases anyways, you were completely through the green line. We've just touched it. So we're just everything's coming to a head. We're getting to that area, but we still have to realize that there could be much more downside. And we are going to look to potentially take those short trades, right? Because we're in the game to make money, accumulate more Bitcoin. Here's your put to call ratio spiking, but then, coming off a bit. This is good. We want to see that put to call ratio start to slide as Bitcoin gets to the lows. That's profit taking going on. There's no reason to look at the accumulation trend score because I guess, for the rest of Bitcoin's life, people are going to be accumulating this thing. So many days of accumulation going on. So, yeah, we got the liquidation we wanted. Let's see the long liquidations. Big spike. That's what we were looking for in last Saturday's upload. That's exactly what we wanted to see. And we got it. Options, we don't need to look at that. So that's pretty much it on that. Nothing to do price action wise other than those two levels. Remember, intraday support is down there at $20,691. You could potentially find it here, but we'll see what happens. The SPX did make a new swing low, so maybe it finds support now that it has liquidated yesterday's participants. See if it wants to trade out of there now. That's a pretty big down move, and it looks very much identical to Aussie Yen, right? That's the reason I showed you Aussie Yen. It hasn't been a risk-off metric as of late, but today it looks like it is. Today it looks nice and correlated like it used to be, right? So maybe we start to see these things come off a little bit. And for the VIX, we're going to keep an eye on the VIX more so than the VVIX. The VVIX just shows us volatility of the VIX. This is volatility of the VIX. It is a tradable asset still, and this thing spikes as well. But this is very strange for sure. We were definitely looking for that to hold as support, and it did. I mean, that was a nice play. So just keep that in mind. You want to see this thing up at the highs before you start to pick your bear market lows. All right? But you can still trade it. You can still accumulate it. I don't necessarily know what you're planning on doing in your investment strategy, but that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to continue to do what I do. USD CAD, it's into an area of potential resistance. So let's go look at the DXY real quick. So here's the DXY. If you remember, we were talking about this has some bearish divergence going on. We don't trade based on bearish divergence because divergences happen all the time and they don't always play out. But we can make an assessment that we might be getting ready to come into an area where we could start to look for resistance, right? Simply because it's there, and we know other traders will absolutely take trades based on that. So we have 105 spot 190 as potential supply, and then resistance is here at 105,477. So as long as we're closing daily candles below both of these lines, or at least a resistance, we could potentially look for the dollar to start to come off a bit for, a week or two and play out that divergence. Come back in for a pullback. It had a very, very nice pullback. We were actually looking for it to roll over here and make another extended leg to the downside to give risk assets a little bit more time, a little bit more room to basically chop around, maybe give us another opportunity to short, but it did not. It just went straight back to the highs. But now we're putting in that divergence, and you can see the last 3 days. Looks like it is kind of trying to form a top. You don't have any kind of engulfing or anything like that going on, but watch those two levels, and we can go look at Euro USD for that correlation. So we're at daily support on Euro USD. I don't know if I would take this long trade today or not, because it looks like it's a short to me. But you're into support, so we can't take the short, right? Cannot take the short. But if you start trading away from 1.04097, then that means that we can potentially look for the dollar to come off a bit. So here on USD CAD, we're into daily res. All right, so we'll watch that 1.29525. We start closing hourlies above that, then we're probably going higher. But as long as this level holds and remains firm, we could potentially be looking to take a short on USD CAD from 1.29525. I don't like trying to short an asset when it's bullish on the day, and this is very bullish on the day, right? It's up almost 0.32%. So yeah, it could find resistance here. It's coming off of a pretty extended move to the upside. It's obviously been bullish the last 4 or 5 days. So I'm not going to just jump on this trade simply because it's pretty much against trend, very much above the above the 50 there. So lots of bullish momentum. And I didn't really see much of anything else as far as trading. Let's go to MyForex and let's roll through these. Let's see where we're at on Aussie CAD. Yesterday was a big day on Aussie CAD. So why did the Canadian dollar get crushed so bad yesterday? Well, did you look at that? What a beautiful short side entry off of hourly or daily resistance at 104.535. 4, boom, down. Oh man, that's beautiful. Looks like Canadian is oil coming off. It's a little bit, nothing major. It's into support. Oil's in the daily support. So if it finds and holds support here, then your USD CAD will be a nice short, right? If this finds support, and if DXY finds resistance, I think we could look at USD CAD for that trade. Well, let me answer your guys' questions. Let's see. Oh yeah, I got rid of the crab. Man, that thing, he was salty. He did not like being in the house. Oh my gosh. Yeah, all right, perfect. Good morning, Frank. Good mornings. Good mornings. Can you please have a look at Euro USD and silver? Yeah, we just looked at Euro USD. We'll go look at silver. But I am looking for potential support. Obviously, the trend is down, so trying to get long this asset is not prudent. But here. So you need a fresh low here. You need to take this out and then close. If you close up in it, then you would have bullish divergence going on here. But as long as this low remains intact, you do not have divergence because that's a higher low. Higher low. But it is in an area where we could potentially start to see support form. So we are starting to get, bullish, not bullish, but looking for bullish trades to the upside just based off of a relief rally, if you will. But you still got to take out that low. Would be a pretty good downside target if you're bearish. If you're bearish, watch 1.04121. I think you've already hit that level, and you're finding a tad bit of resistance there this morning. That's your daily support level. So once 103.499 gets taken out, what I would want to see is a bullish reaction. Tomorrow's the close, so if we could take out that low and then maybe close around this area, then that divergence would be there. So maybe this trades off for the next 2 days, aiming at those weekly lows. And then silver, excuse me, crushed. I mean, absolutely crushed. Has it found a bottom? Wow, nice big down day, or big up day yesterday. Big strong day to the upside. Would I say that this is done? I don't know. The reason is these things are tied in with real rates and everything else. You almost need to be like a global macro fundamental guy to understand gold and silver trades. I'm not, right? I'm a technical analyst. I'm a day trader. I base my trades off of supply and demand. But with real rates, there's just no alpha to generate on gold and silver right now. If the dollar comes off or finds resistance for a little while, but trust me when I say that, I'm not looking for that. The trend is still up. So as long as the trend is up, we have to keep looking for it to continue until it has an obvious reversal. These things are going to follow. 2111 is the level we discussed watching for support on Tuesday. If you are going to be a buyer on silver, And you can see that level, it did hold, but you did get a bear trap the previous day. So a bear trap is when you close below support, and then immediately on the next day you escape the area and take out that candle's high. That confirms a bear trap. So that's the level I told you to watch. If you took long positions based on that, depending on where your stop was, you're in good shape. So if you didn't take this long because you closed below support twice, then you can potentially watch for support to happen again there. You're into supply right now. Look at how beautiful that closed. I mean, guys, the reason I trade like this is because it's an objective way to trade. This isn't no fake stuff that's not a maybe. It is. It's that price. 21.68 is supply, and you did close under it yesterday. But I mean, if you're looking for a technical bounce to come, then I guess you could watch yesterday's high to potentially act as demand. We like demand on the candle's body, on the actual open of the candle. That's where we like our levels. But occasionally the wicks will act as resistance or support as well. They're typically our targets. But if this is going to continue, then you would want to see a small range day like this, and then another expansion, say tomorrow, right? If you're looking for an expansion, retrace expansion, a 3-bar pattern, if you will. If that's what you're looking for, then watch for support around $21. You start closing hourlies under that, then leave it alone, because something else is going on. Actually, you got intraday support above that. You're getting ready to come into intraday support right now. All right? Intraday support on silver is going to be here. Well, actually, I would use this one because it's the lowest one. The lowest bearish close inside of the consolidation is your support. So 21.45. Watch that level on an hourly closing basis. If it holds, then yeah, potentially more upside. But that's going to be completely dependent on what the dollar does. ATA USDT. I don't know what that is, but I will absolutely look at it for you. So this weekend I'm going to go ahead and tell you guys. I told the channel members and everything Sunday. This weekend I'm going to download BitGet. I'm going to give them a shot. Main reason is they want to sponsor me, and I didn't want to do that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? But he's offering pretty good amount of money. So we'll start sponsoring these segments. The first segment will be sponsored by BitGet, but I want to try the platform and trade on it first. I want to check out the fee structure. The reason is because KuCoin has been really, really shafting me a lot when I use higher leverage. If I use 5x and under, it's not bad. The fees aren't that bad. They're very sustainable. But if you use anything over 5x, like for instance, I did the KYC, so now I got 20x leverage on KuCoin. I used the 20x leverage a couple times, and in both scenarios, if I was up, say, 15 or 20% on a trading position, when I closed that position, my P&L did not reflect a 20% gain. Not even close. So that means that their fees are much higher when you're using more leverage. So you almost need to get, like, if you get a 20%, think about that. I'm not saying a 2%, 20% P&L day. That is a hell of a day. That is a monster day. In fact, if you get that once and stop for the rest of the year, you're outperforming the SPY. A 20% gain is a massive gain. All right? So if it doesn't reflect that in the P&L when you close the position, say it only reflected like a 7% gain, then that means they're taking well over half of my profits just to exit the position. And that's not cool. So I'm going to go check out BitGet and see if it's better. Now, I'm going to be 100% honest. If it is not better, then I'm not going to be messing with them. KuCoin does not sponsor me. I don't have any sponsors as of this date. So we're gonna see. We're gonna try BitGet and see what it's like. See if it's better. If the fee structure is better. All right. Sorry for the rant. Here's ATA. I have no idea what this is. Automata. I don't know what it is. All right. It's down on the year. Big time. Obviously, I mean, most cryptos are going to be. There's your year to date. I mean, bear market. You are bouncing off of a series of lows. There is going to be support spot 1394. A couple nice days here. You're getting ready to be in the daily res. Here's daily resistance. There is an old supply zone there, but once you close this candle inside of it, that pretty much negates that level. But it could still absolutely act as a sort of resistance, if you will. I don't really see anything to do on it today. I guess if you wanted to see this as continuation, there's just not anything here, right? I would want to be looking for potential entries as close to a cemented in level. 17 cents is your open. That would have been a fantastic place to look for potential entries. You can see that you don't even have an hourly level around it. But you are bouncing from this small area here. Right there. It's not trading like Bitcoin. Obviously, this thing has been trading. That's what Bitcoin was doing, but Bitcoin's had its move. This has not. It had a nice big spike to the upside. That spike was sold off completely. Now you're bouncing again. You're in a bear market, so these spikes are going to more than likely get sold into. We're not going to become bullish on these assets for any kind of bullish continuation, like looking for the markets to start heading up again until we get better CPI prints. So we're at least 3 months away from that. So right now, what I'm basically telling you is you're still going to be selling swing highs. You're not looking to buy support yet. You're looking to sell resistance because it's still the trend. It's still the trend. But if you must get long this asset, I would try to do it around 17 cents if possible. All right. You do have a new hourly support built in here, but I don't like that. I do not like that big spike on this candle and then the sell-off. So it does look like it's trying to stretch up here to liquidate this swing high. But it's just one of those things. I think there's better assets to trade right now, in my opinion. But hopefully that helps Edom. A grind is conducive to lower prices, I think. Yes. Patience is too rare. Yes, I 100% concur with that statement. Yes, patience is very rare. It's almost impossible to find in today's social media environment. People have completely lost sight of patience. Everything you want is at your fingertips, so it's easy to fall victim to that. Your food is literally delivered from any restaurant. I mean, everything you want. Amazon will have it here in a day. Patience is pretty much gone. Sidelines accumulation buying here and 29K propping it up. When they give up, shoot within the grind. Catalyst will come. Yeah. Well, that catalyst run DMC, we're going to be looking for that. The higher CPI. Or not higher, apologies, lower. Consistently lower. Like 3 months of lower CPI. We're going to be able to say that a low is in. Now, anticipating that and trying to position yourself for that, I have no problems with. All right? Just make sure you treat it as a day trade still. Just make sure you take profits if you do get an expansion that is bullish. Take your profits and move your stop to break even. This way, if it gets to a specific resistance and then it gets sold off again, you're still taking profitable trades, but you're trying to position yourself to catch the bottom, if you will, right? If we get 3 CPI prints that are lower, obviously the low's already going to be in, right? So basically it'll be almost a hindsight thing. When the Fed is hiking and hiking aggressively, and the reason that they're hiking aggressively is to stop inflation, correct? Okay, well, since they're doing that, then we pretty much know what move to make. We pretty much know that they're trying to stop inflation. And if they do stop inflation, risk assets will probably bottom out. So that's the play right now. It's 100. It could be 100% wrong. That's just my opinion. That's all. I'm just giving you my opinion here. But that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking to basically, find a support level, get long, and hopefully within the next couple months, the inflation rate starts to trend lower. And if that occurs, then we could probably say the low is in. But it's still at least some months away from now. All right. Am I still connected? Yes. All right. All right. SPX, please. Yeah, let's look at it. Oh, sorry. There wasn't not much to do on ATA. So here is the support that we're currently testing right there. Weekly support. That's where we are. Why did this do this? Usually there isn't any gaps inside of Oanda. There's a gap there. What is up with that? Anyways, yeah, that's crazy. So here is the support that we're looking at right now. It's trading there currently. That's weekly support. You can see that we do have a bit of bullish divergence going on here on the SPX, right? Low, higher low, low, lower low. But this is a little bit of bullish divergence building in here. So this is the support I like for now. Obviously, you came in hot there today, this morning. London's Asian session started to sell off. London session carried it through. Boom. Drove it down hard. So I like this price for potential support. I don't know if I like it today. That's a lot of momentum, right? A lot of momentum. You did smoke yesterday's low and the previous day's low, right? The last 2 days as low as you've smoked with this run lower. So if it's going to be that, just a liquidity run, then I like this price to see higher prices, to slowly melt away from this level. If that wasn't what this is, if the SPX is looking for more downside, then obviously this isn't going to hold. So this is the price that I like right now on the SPX. But like I said, you got a lot of momentum today to the downside. You're down 2%. It's not a massive move lower on the SPX, but I mean, it's definitely lower. You're definitely trying to pick a bottom here. You're in a downtrend and you're at the very lowest portion of that downtrend. New, fresh, yearly low is what you have here today. That's how significant it is, right? You have a fresh yearly low. Not that significant considering how 2 days ago was the fresh yearly low. You've just taken that out. So if it's going to hold as support, then we want to see it trade away today. And that's literally the only level that I'm looking at on the SPX. That's it. That's it. And I'm not looking to go long here just yet. Not yet. I mean, it's still a bear market. It's still a bear market. And the last inflation print we got was higher. 8.6%. The highest it's been all year. So be careful. Puerto Bogan says, absolute fire. Thank you very much. Important session. Thank you so much, my friend. Can we look at MicroStrategies, says Michelle. Absolutely. It got beat up pretty bad. Pretty bad. Let's go see if we can't find some support. We don't have really much of anything on the daily. Oh my gosh, man. It's bad. Off, what is that, 89%? It's pretty close to 89%. 87%. Is this a profitable company? I mean, their chart to me doesn't really look like it. I mean, this is a weekly. If anything, it looks like a sideways asset. So maybe that's why Michael Saylor decided to attach so much of his company's balance sheet onto Bitcoin. Which, he's not a mining company, so I don't understand why this thing is just always sideways. Until obviously the big bull market phase we had. Is this the lows? I can't tell you that. You don't even have bullish divergence built in yet. You got a pretty much a fresh low on the RSI, right? So I think you maybe you find support pretty soon. The only support level that I can see is an old support, and that's this. And there's one right below it here. See this? The last bearish close. That's kind of sort of acting as support here. And it did here as well. You're getting a slight bounce, but this is the thing. It could get sold back into once it gets up into here. So, 146.13 it's cheaper than it was. It could still go much lower, but you're off 87%, which is pretty much unheard of for a tech company. Buy low, sell high is the game. You're definitely low. If it's a hold, I think you could start adding on some shares. Pick up a few shares here, pick up a few shares there. Not a lot, right? If you're going to DCA in an attempt to pick the low, you definitely want to do it with a small amount of money. As far as day trades, I don't see anything on it, really, to be honest with you. You're into support. That daily close there, you're a little bit above it. I don't have pre-market data yet, so I don't know where you're trading. Yeah, those are the areas to watch. I will sponsor you, Heath. Thank you, Wes. I appreciate it, bub. It's not so much that I need the sponsorship or anything like that. It's more or less, if I'm going to continuously talk about a brokerage, then they should pay me. That's America, right? I don't have a massive following or anything like that, so I'm not expecting a lot, but really and truly, I would have stuck with KuCoin had they not given me 20x leverage. And for me to find out that they're really snaking people's money, that's not cool. All my Forex accounts that I have and stock accounts, if I'm up 20% on a position, when I close that position, my P&L reflects that 20%, right? So, and it should, because they're making their money elsewhere. They're making their money on this spread and on other fees. But we'll see. Let me see. QQT is what I don't understand what you're talking about, Jose. If you can, is covalent CQT? Is that the ticker? Yeah. Is this the low? It's one thing. Like I said earlier, it's going to be hard to find the low. It definitely probably is not. This asset is trending lower. Every single bounce has been faded. So you look for that trend to continue. And there's no levels for me to even get. You're at fresh, new, all-time lows. When you're at fresh, new, all-time lows, there's no levels to watch. If you close here or higher today, well, you kind of need to smoke yesterday's low, but you do have a little bit of potential divergence starting to build. It's not there yet. So be careful. It's 9 cents. And just from the data that we have here, you're off 95%. The bear market is not over. It will not be over until inflation turns around. in my opinion. So no, I doubt the low is in. That's monthly support on the SPX, weekly, 2-week, and monthly. Nice. Awesome. Then I like that level even better, Ray. Appreciate it. On macro perspective, I think something can break in the plumbing before the Fed can get inflation down. Not just the Fed flipping as a scenario, although most likely one. Yeah, I mean, there's always those, black swan events that can happen for sure. But the way that I trade and my style is, I don't technically look at things to be broken because they never are. I mean, if you go back in every single bear market in history, they all thought the same thing, right? They were coming up with all these reasons why the bear market was going to continue. And I mean, during the Great Depression, you had men jumping off of top floors on them buildings in Wall Street, not understanding that markets are cyclical. They are, but emotions gets to you. Markets are cyclical. Every single bear market we've had has been because of some underlying macroeconomical event, right? That starts the bear market. Then the bear market gets fixed. And then price continues higher. Again, once it finds the low, once the bear market cycle has ran its course. And this one will too. It absolutely will. It will find a low. It will return back to, climbing. And if it doesn't, guess what? You're a trader. You don't need a consistent uptrending market to make money anymore. So if things want to be broken and everything's going to zero, we'll short it all to zero. I'm thinking there were more than a chance Bitcoin can transform into an asset it's designed to be, starts the aligning bit for. Yeah, but see, that's my thing. I don't necessarily want it to be an inflation hedge because if it does become that, then you're going to miss out on all the bull markets, right? Because then it becomes a risk-off asset. It'll start to climb during bear markets. I like for it to rise with the rest of the risk assets when we're in a bull market. And bull markets are easy to trade. You buy support. That's it. End of story. We still have momentum to the downside for now. So, we'll keep trading it as such. The bear market. We'll look to sell resistance until we start getting lower prints on CPI. As a non-Bitcoin company, MSTR is mature and stable. Yeah, it's definitely stable. You can see that on the price chart. It just doesn't see much growth. MSTR expertise is in technological analysis and very advanced data mining and analysis. Using that analysis, see Bitcoin game-changing disruptor. Right. I mean, I've listened to 100 of Michael Saylor's interviews and stuff. He's definitely uber bullish on Bitcoin. So much, in fact, that he's willing to risk his company on it. And he's a very smart man, right? I'm sure trolls are telling him how stupid he is right now because, it's a bear market, but he understands markets are cyclical as well. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't start, buying more pretty soon, which you probably will hear. Michael Saylor just bought another $1 billion worth of Bitcoin. But he does have, he has his investors to think about. So we'll see. But I definitely believe that this low is going to be, it's definitely going to find a low. The markets are going to come back. Eventually, the Fed is going to fix this little issue. Now, obviously, we're in a macro bigger bubble, debt and all that. If you can't loan money or if people won't loan money out or, we could see some more downside. But, I mean, we're going to prevail no matter what conditions the market's in. If we're trading sideways, we know buy support, sell resistance. If you're in an uptrend, you buy support. If you're in a downtrend, you sell resistance. That's it. That's the strategy everyone needs to follow. Look to sell resistance in a downtrend. Then, when inflation starts to trend lower, we'll look to buy support. I just need a liquid market. Directional doesn't matter. Yeah, me too. Clear, objective analysis, no BS. Thank you kindly. You are welcome, my friend. That's the best way to do it. I mean, in my opinion, it's worked for me so far. We'll continue to do it. So like I'm gonna have to wrap it up here in a second, but as far as FX, let's just run through real quick here, do a speed run, see where we're at. Aussie Yen short's doing great. Aussie CAD potential support, nothing to find here. There's an old resistance here. That's what it looks like it's probably messing around with right now, but that's the level I'd really like to see what it does at. CAD Swiss, that's CAD weakness this morning. Aussie New Zealand just trending higher. Nothing to do. It's at resistance, but yesterday was a big day. Aussie dollar, same thing. You potentially have a demand zone coming up on Aussie dollar at 0.96594, but not anything I can see as far as a trade today. Old support is there. Oh, this is Aussie SGD anyways. Singapore dollar. I don't trade that. Aussie dollar looks the same. I thought I was on Aussie dollar, but I wasn't. So old support there. There's demand, old support. Yeah, maybe. Maybe Aussie dollar long. We'll keep an eye on Aussie dollar. Start closing hourlies under, then we'll leave it alone. But if this level holds, then we're probably going to look for alongside Aussie dollar. CAD yen, it's coming off. We already looked at that. Fantastic sell entry there, but that's already over with. Swiss yen, huge spike to the upside. Holy cow. Right into resistance there. Boom. Boom. Wow. What was that all about? The London session just opened and had a massive spike to the upside. Euro Aussie looks exactly the opposite. Yeah, I mean, you could look for sells on here. Let's get rid of this old level. We got this to watch and this to watch for potential sell side entries on Euro Aussie. Euro CAD, nothing. Support, maybe. But Euro has to get stronger, right? Euro has to find support, and then CAD has to continue its weakness. And we know what we're watching on Euro USD. We're just watching daily support there for now. Euro Swissy, man, what a down move. Did the Swiss bank have a news event? Or did they have their FOMC? SNB? Did they hike or are they still dovish? Nothing on that. Euro New Zealand. Big downside engulfing there. But you're at support. Yeah, I don't know. I hate trading New Zealand pairs and Swiss franc pairs simply because they're disgusting. They chop around so much. Pound Aussie, where's Euro pound? Just chopping around. But you are starting to get a bullish trend. Yeah, I mean, I don't like the momentum it's got going to the downside there, but 0.85488 is potential support. Yeah, if it's going to go up, I want to see it do it from here. I want to see it start closing hourlies above this inside intraday support. S&B surprises with a 50-point base rate hike, bringing in the policy rate. Yeah, that's what it was. Thanks, Wes. So the Swiss franc is getting a big pop because of a 50-point rate hike. Figures as much. We still have the BOJ still also. Pound yen, it's already moving lower. Pound CAD, expansion higher. Pound CAD found support at demand. Nice. All right, so maybe pound CAD continues. I'm not going to trade it because you've already made a new high of day, right? New high of day. This thing would have to pull back down to 1.56 before I would even potentially look for bullish entries. It's still bearish. You're still bearish, so keep that in mind. Still pretty bearish, actually. But we could look for longs looking for it to return to the mean. Big strong day, down day on the Swiss, just crushing everything. Pound New Zealand into potential resistance here. Is it a short today? I don't know. Choppy. Just everything New Zealand and Swiss is always choppy. Pound dollar is, we're watching it currently, demand. Is that a new high of day? No, it is not. Not really an hourly level to watch, but keep an eye on one spot, 21,305 pound dollar for potential bullishness. But that's going to be based on if the dollar finds resistance or not. I mean, the best trade that I like this morning is this, unfortunately. And it's got a lot of bullish momentum in it, but I mean, it could end up being a short. Come on, line, get on there. Thank you. You closed higher on the hourly. So what I probably will do on USD CAD for potential shorts will be to wait until I get a bearish reaction. So like a big bearish hourly candle, then maybe look to sell an hourly res or an hourly Heath level. That's about it on FX, guys. Y'all have a fantastic day. If you have, wait a minute, what did you say there? Swiss S&E raised rates 0.5 unexpectedly. Right, yeah. Yeah, Wes just showed me that. Well, I think that's the last. I mean, BOJ is the last one, I think. Oh, wait. Here, let me pull up this real quick and we'll see what we got left on for today. I would hate to say that there's no more high event risk out there, especially if there's BOE is today. You got the BOE. So watch, don't be careful on any pound pairs. BOE probably 7 o'clock in the morning. So 20 minutes, we're going to see BOE. You guys have a fantastic day. If you have any questions, as always, drop them down in the comment section as I read every single question and I will answer you. Make sure you guys trade safe. Make sure you trade smart. And as always, happy trading, everybody.